hello there. Greetings to you from wherever you're watching us from. How did you spend your day? I hope you had a beautiful day. Yes, so I am so happy to, know that you're still watching Star Cross Television, and of course to stay glued to your TV set for this program, Regnum Continuous Legal Education. And in this program what we do is we look at legal issues, how you as an individual can be grounded on everything legal. You have to know about this so that in case you find yourself in any situation, you might or you will be able either to resolve it or know who to meet at the right time. Greetings to you once again. You're watching the program Regnum Continuous Legal Education. I am Peace Smith, reaching out to you on Star Cross Television, and I have a wonderful resource person here with whom I would love you to meet so quickly. Let me bring to your screen Christ Ambassador Asiya Okon, who is a resource person for this episode. Greetings to you.
Peace of the Father, my sister, and peace to my audience.
Permit me to address you with your, your religious title, because I know you're already dressed in white.
Yes,
good to have you here. How do you feel? Let's start with that.
Well, I thank the Father for everything. He's a control and because of our good health and everything that we are passing through. We thank Him. All right,
good to have you here. Now, this is the second episode of the program Regnum Continuous Legal Education. We had the first episode last week. So this is a live broadcast. You can reach us via our YouTube page, our Facebook page, and of course our phone line is displayed on the screen. Because today we will be looking at a topic that interests you. Remember, this topic today is just an introductory aspect, and of course when we looking at the next episode, we will be dealing more on this. Now, what is the topic for this episode? The topic of this episode is wills and right inheritance, or right to inheritance. Wills and right to inheritance. So what do you understand by wills? Who prepares the wills? Why must you as a person have a will? So today we will be looking at the introductory part of it. Now let me bring in our resource persons. Good to have you here, sir, once again. So now let's have a legal understanding of what will is.
Thank you very much. A will is a legal testamental documents.
Okay.
Why is it testamental? Because some of the other documents are those documents that you can act immediately, you execute them. Okay. But a will speaks after the demise of the maker. So that makes it testamental.
Okay. So being that it is testamental, we have what is called valid will and what is not valid when we say, oh, this will is invalid.
Yes.
All right, we'll get to that. So let's take us through on who prepares the will. If it must be a testamental, so how is it prepared? Who actually, or who is involved when you're talking about will preparation?
Will is a legal document, and lawyers do legal duties.
Okay.
So one of the things that vitiate a will is when those who do not have anything to do with the law that goes there.
Okay.
And because they don't know the nitty-gritties of preparing a will. So wills are those things. Those who are involved in will are the testator, the actual owner of the things that he wants to devour back to his posterity. So he is there, and he must have a credible witness. Credible witness, not tainted one. Credible witness must be there, and there must be actual things to devour, to live, and that makes you in the process of making a will, a valid will.
A valid will. So you have made mention of the testator, the executor, and of course witnesses. So now in a situation where we are having the will being prepared by a non-lawyer, what happens? Does it still stands to be valid in the future?
Thank you very much. See,
that's if the person or the testator is not alive, it's a deceased.
There's something that says it has been tainted with the influence, ab initio. Those are those things that can make a will not to be valid. And if it is prepared by non-lawyers, you wouldn't know those items that must be present before a proper legal document called will is done. So based on that, the only people that have the power to prepare will must be legal people, legal practitioners. lawyers. Why I'm not using lawyers? Not all lawyers that practice. So we have practicing lawyers.
So it's only practicing lawyers.
Others can have it, but they may not have time. Some of them are governors, some of them are in the House of Reps. Most of them are lawyers. So we are saying practicing those who are interested in the act of law making and execution.
Okay.
Because that way you are talking about is coming to be a law, because you can be presented somewhere. So those people who are vested with knowledge of the law are privy to execute and do everything about what it takes to make a will.
Okay. All right, thank you so much. I believe that you are fully prepared for this episode because we have a whole lot we are going to be discussing about, because I feel this is one important topic that everyone out there, whether young or old, they must have an ideal knowledge about this. Now let's talk about, there's this common perception that people feel like, if you make a will, that means you're planning yourself to, maybe you're thinking of dying already. So how can you correct this?
You see, will is one of those things that even if it is I know you're a lady, we who are married, if your wife say on it, can you make your will, you assume that it's planning to kill you.
Okay.
Yes. So that's how will looks like. But will is an instrument that an average legal and a reasonable person ought to have done, because he may be doing it daily, in the sense that he has codicil to use to amend his will anytime he wants to amend it.
Okay.
So an average person with sound mind of age has the right to do his will.
You use the word sound mind.
Yes.
So that means, just take us through it. Is it that not just anyone?
Unsound mind cannot make a will. It's one of those things that taints a will.
Oh, okay.
Taints a will. That is somebody struggling will. This thing was not properly done. Because it was done with the man who is not of a sound mind.
That's the lawyer or the person?
No, the person, the testator.
Okay.
Is not of a sound mind when he was doing it. For example, age. Age too can come as a barrier.
Wow.
The person who made this will was not of age. We have age, a limitation of age. In some states is 21, Crover State is 18, other states, Abia is 18. Those are limitations that can taint a will that somebody can say is a proper will, but the person that makes the person that gave up this will was not of sound mind, was not of age, or tainted with influence. Those are those things that can punch a good will.
Wow. So we'll get there. Thank you so much, sir. Now, looking at the law. So does this law protect the will after a person has been demised or something?
You see, your question is up in the sense that the will is what that protects the owner of the will, the maker.
Okay.
Without that, there will be confusion and chaos in the family, because nobody knows who owns what. But with a valid will, the maker have already give his items to whom he knows or assume that will be doing well with it. Not the person that has no will, then his thing will be handled with those whom he never wanted them to handle it properly and misuse those things. So that's the essence of the man making the will to be alive to make his will.
Okay. All right. You said something about witnesses, but before we get there, I want to still talk about the testamentary capacity of a person who making a will, because you said something that it has to be with about age, that sometimes age can be a limitation. No, let's get the part of the age first. Now, I have this, permits me to read that the testator must have testamentary capacity. That is, he must be 18 or 21 and above. I'm coming, depending on the applicable law, the age requirement that is set for it. Now, for a person who is 18, what can you possibly achieve as a person? I'm asking. It's a question.
Well, it's a question. Legally,
it might sound elementary.
It's a good question.
It might sound elementary, but let's look at it.
It's a good question. Okay. The law look at 18 as being major. There's what we call minor and major in the eyes of the law.
Okay.
When you are below 18, you are minor.
Okay.
But when you are above 18, you are a major.
Okay.
So you can take decision of yourself.
Do you know why I'm asking this question?
No.
Because right from when I was in, let me start with university, then at least I was able to know my left from right. Yeah, there is this thing whenever we write, maybe they're asking us for biodata and all of that, we will be asked to, next of kin. it's always appearing in many documents.
Yes.
So now talking about the age coming here. So does it really mean maybe next of kin? Maybe when you're not there, this person can actually. I mean, for someone under 18 years and above.
We are talking about making of will here,
Okay.
not benefiting from the will.
Oh,
Who
okay.
have the legal capacity of making a will.
Okay.
We talk about those things that can vitiate a will itself. And age is one of the legal items that can vitiate a will. It's not for us to say whether it's 16. It's the law of a state, like you already read. Some states say 21. Abia State say 18. We said 18. Why? That is the law. The moment they said that, that makes the law. So we cannot question the law.
Okay.
So a person of 18 who is in a state that is 21 is not yet capable of making a will until he's 21 in that state. As you can see where the age is very strong. What is the implication? If he's underage in the state that says he should be 21, that will is no will.
Okay.
It has been vitiated ab initio.
Okay, all right, that's very beautiful. I'll still come back to you. Yes, right now we have Brother John Usani who just joined us. Greetings to you, Brother John. How are you doing? Please unmute yourself if you can hear me. Okay, so while we are still waiting for Brother John, who is still trying to join us, all right, now let's talk about, we have looked at the aspect of, or coming back to the aspect of witnesses. Like you said, you made mention of the testator, you also made mention of the executor, and of course the witnesses. So now let's say in situations where, let's say the testator made the will with the lawyer where there was no other person, just him and the testator, I mean with the executor, just the two of them, or the lawyer, sorry. So now in issues where
That witness actual developing this will itself.
Okay.
Because you see, for example, will has a department of the law that we call them probate. Probate is a very big department to show how big this topic is.
Yes, sir.
You see, so that person must be of sound mind before he can be able to do a legal will, and there must be that witness that you are talking about. Witness is what you cannot do
The
without it.
witness, is it the lawyer and maybe
The lawyer is not
any
the
member
witness.
of
Maker is the person that is that owns thing that want to divulge. The lawyer is the legal officer that
Okay.
there must be a witness.
Okay, could it be, sorry, sir, could it be any member of the family, or it can be an external body?
Good. Is elected by the maker of the will.
Oh,
He
okay.
elect. He take them into confidence, because will is not what you expose. If the probate division read will after the demise, so we need somebody who be very close to the person that owns the will.
Okay,
the
but
maker of the
not
will.
maybe members of the family.
It could be
that-
anybody. It
You
can
know why I'm
elect-
asking this question? Because we have seen scenarios where during the reading of the will, someone will say, why did he have to give this one to this? Why did he have to, share this and all of that? And now you get to understand, or from the scenario I used to pick from there, I feel that maybe on the making of the will, there is no, let's just say the benefactors. None of them is always present. I don't know if you understand.
I'm
my
following
point.
you.
So
That's
now
it.
my question is still on the witnesses. Does it, when you're talking about the witnesses, is it an external, someone who is not a benefactor?
Good. That's
Do you
that's
understand
the
my
real
point?
thing. A witness, most often, not that a law exonerate them,
Okay.
but most often is that a witness need not be a benefactor of the will.
Okay, all right. Thank you so
It's
much.
often it need not be.
Okay, all right. So, Brother John, are you there? Brother John Usani, can you hear me now?
Yes, I can hear you, although my network is a bit bad.
Oh,
I can hear
okay.
me fine. Peace of the Father.
Peace of the Father, greetings to you, sir, once again. So we would like to see your face. I don't know if you are okay with that, but if you're not,
Alright.
okay. All right. So we are talking
That's
about.
right.
All right. So we are talking about.
Kindly pardon me. My network is bad. Yeah.
Okay, but can you hear me right now?
Yeah, I can hear you.
All right. So our topic for this episode is wills and right to inheritance, and of course, brother Asia here have been able to take us through what a will is, who is involved when preparing a will. So can you take us through the preparation? What is obtainable? What is obtainable when you're preparing a will? What really makes a will a will?
Okay, I want to thank you first of all for having me.
Like you know, my name is Brother Sam John Usani. The procedure for making a will, which is very, very important, that I think every person should be conscious of. Most times when you talk about will, people just feel that you are making it as in anticipation of your death, but it's not so. At times, all these things happen unexpectedly, and then it brings up series of issues in family, and then there's always that disagreement and division. So it's always advisable to have a will. So I'll just quickly run through the procedures or probably the process of making a will, which is number one. For a will to be valid, the person, the maker of the will, must at least attain the age of 18 and must be a person of sound mind. That the person must be capable, must be a person of sound mind, and must not be a minor. Okay. So what I mean by that is that you must not be, the person mustn't be an insane person or not less than the age of 18. And then secondly, the law requires such document to be in writing. And the said document must be signed in the presence of at least 2 witnesses. And the law requires that those 2 witnesses are not supposed to be beneficiaries of that will. Okay. Otherwise, the will becomes voidable. Are you with me?
Very well, very well. Please go on.
Now, what that means is that when you say a will is voidable, it is to the effect that it does not, the mere fact that the beneficiaries are not, the beneficiary is made a witness, does not invalidate the will on the basis of the fact that the beneficiary is a witness, but rather makes it voidable to the extent that if the beneficiary is being given something from that estate, that gift becomes questionable and it can be invalid by reason of that. But it does not invalidate the entire will that is being given to other people. Do you understand?
Okay. Very well, very well.
So now the will must, I've just stated it that well, by the law, if it is deliberately destroyed, for instance, now a will can be revoked on the basis where the testator or the owner of the will eventually gets married.
Okay, I was hoping we'll take this gradually because we still have a whole lot to talk about this. Now let's look at, because you said something about a will, even your colleague here also said something about a will which must come in a document, a written form. Now, as part or types of will, we have what is called, sorry if I cannot pronounce it well, but I'll try my best. We have the non-cupative will, and this is a type of will that has to do with declaration voluntarily or orally by the testator of a sound mind. Now let's look at the issues where you said a will has to be a document, bringing in customary law. So how can that will be found or be found to be valid? Still to you, Brother John. Did you hear me?
Well, if I can get you clearly, you are trying to just oppose it with the position of the customary law, where wills can be made orally. Am I correct?
Yeah. And not just me in a document form, like you rightly stated, that a will has to be written.
Let me start by. Okay, let me start
saying that the influx of equity is to water down the harshness of common law, being that there has always been customs before these laws are abated. You understand? So there are these requirements as it is, they are meant to regulate the primary existence of what a formal will should be. Although there are certain circumstances, just like you have stated, that wills can be made orally. But in these circumstances, like you have mentioned, the customary law aspect, there has to be witnesses who can at least testify to that effect that, okay, in my presence, the testator made this pronouncement and this pronouncement and this pronouncement.
Okay, Rajan, I would like to come in there. Why I had to use bring in customary law? Let's say in every society they have a custom or a regulation or rules governing that society. Now, let's say during this particular or in this custom, you actually made your first will. Let's just say you passed it via orally, which was obtainable. Now the society is growing and everything is, now you now understand that when you're looking at the Will Act of 1937, you see that it has to be written form. The Will Act of 1937, I feel section 4 or section 3 of that says that for a will to be a will, it has to be in a written form. Now in these issues, a situation where the first will you made was based on, oh, you made it out, or maybe the person was at the point of death and he made this will, and let's just say during that time it could have been acceptable, and now the person or the heir or the executor who was to be the main center point of the will was or maybe along the line became deceased, and now bringing it now to the the society time where the will has to be in a written form. Now they take it to court. There is a disagreement that being that the will was not oral, or being that the will was not a written one, it cannot be used because the law as of that point in the society does not grant oral will or something. So how can lawyers or legal practitioners manage that?
Well, the Supreme Court say
law is what. How do I even put it? There's a statement I was trying to quote what the Supreme Court said. They said that is it Justice Emeka of the Court of Appeal. He once said that the law is what the judges say it is. Okay. Now, if there is a written instrument that prescribes the modality of how things are to be done, and it is an enactment of the National Assembly which becomes a law, I don't think any other procedure can be adopted other than the requirement by the law. So what this means is that if the law says this is the form a will must take for it to be valid, any other form other than that requirement makes such process invalid. So if the testator, or let me say the deceased, as at the point of death, had contemplated making a will and then decide to say, okay, I give this, I give that, I give this, that does not amount to a will in the real sense, because if it is not reduced into law writing by virtue of Section 4 of the Wills Act, then it has not fallen in accordance with the condition as established by the law. So, just like I told you, the exceptional grounds might flow where there are witnesses who can say, okay, yes, I can attest to the fact, but that does not amount to a will, going by the requirements of the law.
Okay. All right. Okay. Thank you so much. Now I have this situation I would like
Mm.
you to look into. Now, in a situation where the will is contested amongst family members, what then
Yeah.
is the role of the legal practitioner in that aspect? How will the legal practitioner come in here and settle these issues?
Well,
The essence of the legal profession is to resolve disputes and also to make peace
Okay.
between parties. And then we have the court to determine issues arising from disagreements as to the execution of wills. I think most of the time where issues like this arises are where family comes up with, let's say, two different wills. You understand? So in the circumstance,
So what really
it's
arises the issue of two different wills? Okay.
you know very well that going by the Wills Act, there are provisions. But you make a sub, if that will is not made in addition to the previous one,
automatically you are supposed to revoke the previous one.
Okay.
You understand? But
Very
most
well.
times, some people in the course of their life, they acquire more properties and decide to add it, include it in their will. And then some people or some family members, out of mischief, may want to get a will drafted because the person is no longer alive to ascertain the authenticity of the will, or otherwise they might just come up with a will. So in the circumstance, those are the things that bring up issues that most times will require an address. So in that circumstance, we have issues where there are two wills purportedly emanating from a deceased person. There are ways that it can be resolved. When you just oppose both wills and you discover that they are not availing, then we can resort to equity, which is fairness. We can go back to the dictate of what ordinarily should have occurred if there is no will in existence. You understand?
Okay. Yeah.
And there are certain procedures that are laid down by law as to how properties of a disease can be distributed amongst their dependent or descendants. So we can resort back to that and then see how equity can be done in that circumstance.
Okay.
Thank
you so
much, Brother John Usani. We'll still come back to talking about the codicil aspect. But then, thank you so much. You did justice to your own question. Now, let's look at the practice of the law that have a religious implication. So now the question is, can this practice of the law, which has a religious implication as a common practice in Africa, or has an effect in Africa? Yes, my Mr. Thank you very much. You see, this law that we are practicing is called law. They are not they were not part and parcel of Africans. They are called received. Received. They came from other people's culture. So at that point there will be conflict of interest. Africans had their religion before the white man came. So they had their own ways and tradition and how to devolve properties to their siblings. But as my learned friend have just said, we deal with laws here. So law, we have will act. Anything outside that became a conflict. It's a conflict of laws. That's the traditional laws, our spiritual laws. But we are talking here in the eyes of the law as lawyers. We cannot advise somebody not to make his will because it's the apt thing to do, which may be contrary to some religious belief. But we believe that one day all of us would leave this planet. Am I right?
So I feel, sorry for cutting in. I feel the aspect you're talking about has more effect on Christians, because when you're talking about other religion, for example, the Islamic, they also have a law that talks about will.
Yes,
So
yes.
now, in your own context, what do you have to say about this?
You know, we are brotherhood. Brotherhood encompasses every other religion.
Okay.
So as a brotherhood, but I'm talking as a lawyer. I wouldn't talk as a, I wouldn't use the other word, but I'm talking as a lawyer. And the essence of this program is to educate and inform brethren and other members in the world that it is appropriate for a reasonable man or woman, because in law we don't have man, we don't have woman, we have he in the eyes of the law. So it is incumbent of an average reasonable person to make his will, irrespective of religion. Because when the crisis comes, religion may not be able to handle it, which is purely legal. It is the law that was certain. For example, the father, the Lumba taught us to be lawyers. That means he knows that this kind of a thing, and we as lawyers and brother, we cannot advise you not to do will, to make your will. So will is appropriate in all circumstances, both spiritual and physical.
Cool. Okay. All right. Okay. Thank you so much, sir. I'll still like Brother John Usani to say something as regards to will not being a part of the African religion aspect.
Okay. Thank you very much. Once again.
Based on my own opinion, the society evolves, and I think it is imperative that the society should adapt to changing circumstances. Although customs can be said to be older than men or older than man, but then the essence of education and enlightenment brings about these positive changes, which I believe the society should, change alongside we should evolve alongside with the development. So if you look at what the law says, it said any custom that is repugnant to natural justice, equity, and good conscience should, to the extent of its repugnancy, be declared null and void. So, going by that, the essence of the law is to, see how they can strike a balance and make an enabling environment for all. So, I really feel that society should evolve alongside. I should evolve in the light of changing circumstances.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you so much. And now I have a question. Now, in a situation, let's go back to talking about the will. Will aspect. In a situation where, let's say, the heir of the will, maybe the benefactor, who is the number one person, is deceased. What now happens? Bro John, did you get my question? Okay.
I got the question. That's a very, very technical question.
It reminds me of when we were during our undergraduate days. Before we started studying law, we used to hear that when a lawyer dies, the lawyer will be buried with his head face to the ground. And then we came to class one day and we asked our lecturer then, say, sir, is this thing we've been hearing, is it true that when a lawyer dies, he will be buried with his head face to the ground? And the lecturer's response was that anytime you hear they are burying a lawyer, go there and see for yourself.
Okay.
So this question you're asking is more or less like, well, it's quite interesting, but I would say that well, we can contemplate that it can happen. It can be realistic in some circumstances, but it is rare. But in this circumstance, to my mind, I think that where there is a beneficiary that has been gifted in a will and he dies eventually, that gift can pass to his I think his family or his own estate, since he's already named. If that beneficiary, has a family or a next of kin or something. So that's what I think.
Oh, okay. Is that what you also think, sir? Let's get to hear from Brother Sia here. Thank you so much, Brother Joy. Is that also what you think?
Similarly, however, I'm looking at the situation where that man, the estate does not even have estate. Where does that, we call it gifts now goes to?
Okay.
You see, where does it goes to? That's where, because he has no, yes, that's another way out.
Okay.
The government, it's just like you taking money, it is government. Where is that gift going to? We have government, and this is the court. Where I'm saying where even he does not have estate. Because he will have resolved to his estate. But now, yeah.
By estate, what do you mean? Is it the properties or?
Oh, well, that is why my brother was using next of kin.
Okay.
Because next of kin should have comes in there to remedy it. If there is a next of kin to that effect.
So if the next of kin is dead now, it now goes to the government or to.
Okay, if the next of kin too, you are saying all of that it's possible. No, in a plane crash, for example,
let's just say it might not be the whole family, but when you're talking about next of kin that are vital, maybe he might say, okay, this person, at my point of not being around, I think parts of Asian countries, and there's a particular person who has the sole right, to now share these things to every other person.
That is where the law is not operational there. Now we are talking about what does the law says in some of the states that we mentioned, because we have will acts and we have will laws of each of these states. What does this say? That's why we still go back to the law, because the law does not give room for a laguna. There's no laguna in the law. It must be closed up. So if the laguna, the law will now go in. That's why we have our assembly making laws. Those are where if there's a laguna. But since this is our first part of this the discourse, I think we are the father has.
Okay, now thank you so much. So I still have a question for you, because there are situations where let's say the owner of these properties now is deceased, and during that process or while he was living, he was not able to make any will, even at his point of death. So in situations like that, what do you do to make sure that the family do not war against themselves, just to make sure you protect the unity?
It's a very good, that's the difference between will and administrators.
Oh, okay.
That's now where administrators comes in, because there was no will. There's a demand that intestate. He makes no will. So that's where we now go for letter of administration. So
in this letter of administration, how will you know who and who he would have loved to give a larger proportion?
Let me answer.
Okay.
You see, let's say a civil servant who has a next of kin. That's why we have nin now. Nin, for example, let me leave civil servant. We have nin now. In all our nin, there must be a next of kin. So that's where the next of kin comes and answer that question. He must have a next of kin. As you get me, who will be able to go for letter of administration in the absence of a will.
Okay, so what is this letter of administration?
Good. I've seen letter of administration is a one, the man that intested as the person that intested, he died without making a will. How can he claim his property? Or how can his property be managed? We now dig into his name. Let's use name for example. By going to his name, you see his next of kin. Particulars of next of kin are there on the name form. The law will now go for, that's the name, the next of kin will now process letter of administration. What is letter of administration? In letters of administration, when we are doing it, there's what they call money in the bank and estate. That is, that man may be so rich, he has money in the bank, he may be so rich, he has a lot of estate. Then it is the court now, as you get me, who will now identify who is actually the next of kin through these processes. By so doing, if it is properly tested, because it will be published into the whole world that under 21 days, that's the man applying, the person applying for the letter of administration, it will be published for 21 days for the world to see whether this man is actually the next of kin. After 7 days, after 21 days, that is foreclosed in a process, a lot of files to give the next of kin the power to administer the estate of a deceased man who died intestate.
Okay.
It takes a long procedure. It's not just go there and pick it. Okay. Even the bank manager is involved. A lot of people are involved. Even the courts are involved, because it is court automatically that will give that letter of administration by the head of courts in the state.
So can I ask a funny question?
Can
a poor man do this?
Very good.
Is it only limited?
No, let me answer. Let me answer your question.
Okay.
Yes, there's what we call pro bono service in the law.
What does that mean?
Pro bono means that it's not because you don't have money they deny you of justice.
Okay.
So lawyers are there ready to do pro bono. Pro bono is matter you do without collecting a dime. And that is why the father has our legal department here. Most of our jobs that are done pro bono.
Okay.
Because they are indigent members or even members of the society who don't have, like this question you say is funny. It wasn't a funny question. It was a very, very important question.
Okay.
Because if lawyers don't do pro bono, there will be no justice for the poor. So we follow it up. At the end of it, most lawyers will benefit from it. But where you don't benefit, God in infinite mercy will bless you. Not even forevermore.
Amen. Amen. Thank you so much, Christ Ambassador Asiya Okun. And of course, I would like to take one or two words from sentence from Brother John Usani. So, as regards to our introduction to will, what do you have to say about this? In summary, what's your take-home advice?
Well, thank you very much. I will start by saying, just citing an incident that occurred. There was a man that was asked to write his will, and he said, do you want to kill me or do you want me to die?
Okay.
And then, funny enough, a week later, the man died without a will. So imagine, most people think that when you write the will, it's more or less like a death sentence, or it's a sign that you are anticipating death. It's not true. If you look at our traditional society, you look at our immediate family, extended, and the rest, you see the tussle that happens when somebody dies and then leaving his estate. Some of them even end up killing themselves in the process of trying to get what. So it's always advisable generally that as soon as you attain this age required by law, one should, the little you have, begin to apportion them. Begin to apportion them so that by the time you are called to glory, your estate will be distributed not just properly, but in accordance to your wish. You understand? Because in the event where there's no will, well, maybe the administrator might not distribute it in accordance to your wish. You understand? So it is always advisable for everybody to imbibe and then inculcate this value. It is important. Thank you.
All right, thank you so much, Brother John Usani, and of course, Christ Ambassador Asiya Okun. It has been a very beautiful and wonderful moment with you. I feel the time was too short, but then I enjoyed a whole lot. All right, we are running out of time, but if you can actually summarize.
Yes, my summary is saying that it is appropriate that we make wills.
Okay.
A will, because there and then you will know whom you are giving your legacy to. You know who wants to administer your property when you have gone. Okay. Not this brother, this is what we are saying. If you don't make a will, you are causing problem in your family after your demise.
That's really a take-home advice. Thank you so much, sir. All right, this is how far we can take you on the program Regnum legal continuous education, and we believe that come next episode, remember it's every Friday, same station, same time. We know, although we started a little bit late today, but don't worry, come next week when once it's 7, we will bring you legal Regnum legal continuous education. So make sure you stay glued, enjoy the rest of the program. I am Peace Smith. Stay tuned or stay glued. Bye for now.